We've got Steve in Orlando.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How's your weather, Steve? Steven? Sorry.
Oh man, Tracie knows about this Florida weather, man. It's weird. The air is hot and the wind is cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was. There was a caller earlier who had spoken about. Dang it, give me a second here. He was spoken about the derogatory use of certain words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of those callers that he was referencing to, but in relation to that, somewhat, how do you feel about like people using the word believe willy-nilly, especially when dealing with something like evolution? Like people say, "I believe in evolution," instead of accepting it. Then, I mean, it feels at times like that's reinforcing that whole crap about it being a religion.
I think the two are synonymous. As a matter of fact, I define belief as acceptance of a proposition, so I have no problem with it at all.
All right, then.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, and I don't want to get into too much detail, and I don't want to just pimp myself out, but if you go to the ACA website, atheist-community.org, and go on the list of flagship things, there's a link there to the lectures. If you go back to my last lecture, which was on belief, there's at least, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but at the beginning of it, I give my definitions for the purposes of that lecture and what I use generally for belief, knowledge, and reality. I think that beliefs matter. I think that they inform our actions, and knowledge may actually be irrelevant depending on how you define knowledge. And so when somebody says, I see no difference between saying I accept the scientific theory of evolution or I believe that I believe that scientific evolution is valid, however they want to phrase it. Now, there is a usage for belief that is shorthand. It's kind of like faith has different meanings. If it could mean your faith as in a specific faith, which is shorthand for a religion, or it could mean a trusting or reliance upon something just in general, or it could mean trusting or reliance on something in the absence of evidence to support it, or it could mean what I think it is, which is the excuse that people give when they don't have a good reason. And along those lines, there are probably usages of belief that I'm not too happy with, but it really didn't bother me on that
It's like that saying, seeing is believing. And I used to have a dividing line between using the term I believe it and I know it. And what I came to find is that they really are pretty much synonymous. And for me, seeing has become believing. If I don't see it, I tend to say, I'm not sure I believe it. I'll say it's likely, I might use the model, but as far as do I think this is true, usually I withhold that until something is demonstrable.
Yeah, it's like, and to touch on this just briefly, I mean, I believe your name is Stephen. And why? Because you said so and I'm willing to take you at your word, because it's not that big a deal. If I find evidence,
yeah.
And the other thing is that my belief that your name is Stephen is really flimsy. All it would take is some good evidence that you were lying or deceptive or whatever else to change it. And that's the thing about beliefs. And to me, this is exactly consistent with the scientific view. Science doesn't give us absolute answers. Science gives us explanations and models that are the best current explanation of the universe based on our current knowledge. And it's all tentative, and it's all subjected to revision as soon as we get better evidence. And I'm fine with saying that I believe some things loosely, and I believe some things very, very strongly. There are some things that while I don't have an absolute certainty of belief, I'm so certain that it would be absurd to think that they're wrong, and that's where I draw the line on what gets labeled knowledge. I know that the Earth orbits the sun because it would be, the evidence is overwhelming to the point where it would be absurd to find out that it was the other way around.
Oh, okay. It's not a question of the actual science itself. Like, I'm fine with that. It's semantics. I was just seeing how you felt about the usage of words, that's all.
Yeah, I got other words that I'd rather object to than that one, and some non-words too. Don't get me started on irregardless. I'd smack somebody.
Yeah, I listen to non-profits. I've heard you rant on that one.
All right, thanks for calling, Stephen. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good show.
Bye-bye.
We got about 20 minutes left in the show or so. There's one more caller who's calling from London, so we're going to take it real quick, and then we'll I don't know if you've got
Yeah,
any time
maybe.
to hit on it.
We'll see. I can do it next time.
There's lines open. We can save this, whatever we don't get to. And there's probably a few things that we can actually rant on in the meantime. But I wanted to remind everybody we're going to Threadgills after the show's over because we haven't mentioned it apart from the regular announcements. We're on the air for another 17 and a half minutes or so. And then we'll be down at Threadgills around 6:30. Any atheist or atheist-friendly person is welcome to join us. There's the address, 301 West Riverside Drive. It's downtown. Come down, have a good meal, talk to some people. I guess that's it for that.